Right behind me is a pretty good looking Tundra, but wouldn't it look even better if all the chrome was covered up? In this video, we're gonna be covering up as much of the chrome as we can on this Tundra, from the back and the front and everything in between. In a matter of minutes, we're gonna transform the look of this Tundra with some products from Bumper Shellz and Yota Xpedition. Let's get to it. All right, so really quick, before we go ahead and get into installing these parts, let's take a look at what we're gonna be swapping out. So on the Tundra here, you have this huge mustache that goes around the entire front grille, and it stands out a lot when it's in chrome. So we're gonna be covering that up with some matte black, and it's gonna tie together really well with the front grille and the front bumper. Moving along down the side, we have these chrome mirror caps. We're gonna be covering those in matte black as well, along with the window moldings and the door handles. Moving to the back of the Tundra, we're gonna be covering up these bumper caps here for the rear bumper. We got a new logo in black, and then we are gonna be covering up this atrocious looking Toyota handle. All right, so right here on the table, we have all the tools we're gonna be needing to get all of these parts done, starting out with a 10mm socket, and then we have a electric ratchet, but obviously a regular normal ratchet will be perfectly fine. We have a trim prying tool. We have a bottle of alcohol to make sure everything's nice and clean, a microfiber. We have some masking tape, and then we also have a marker. The tools aside, the most important part is making sure that your vehicle is clean and in a temperature controlled environment. You don't want to be installing this stuff outside in the cold, so make sure it's either warm out or you can pull it into a garage and get it up to temperature. So if you are in an environment that's a little bit on the colder side, a heat gun or a hair dryer is definitely gonna be your friend to heat up both the surface that you're gonna be installing this on and the tape as well. We are gonna be giving this a 1 out of 3 on the difficulty scale, so only minimal mechanical skills is required to get this job done, but you can screw it up. Make sure to follow all these steps to get it done correctly. So we're gonna be starting out installing probably the hardest one of them all, which is gonna be the mustache piece here. We have this in a matte black finish. You can get it in gloss black, and there also is a couple of options for body match. One being ice cap, so you could get the same exact color of your truck to match this stuff as well. So when it comes to installing this stuff, it's gonna be pretty simple. The back side of the pieces is covered in 3M tape. We're gonna get that stuff, the backing for that, peeled off. We're gonna make sure that the surface is nice and clean, dry, and the right temperature. And then they also include some adhesion promoter. We're gonna make sure to put this on where the tape is gonna be making contact with the bumper. They also include some strips of black vinyl. So what we're gonna do first is do a dry fit. Before we peel anything off, we're gonna see how it fits, see if there's any spots where we can see chrome. If there is, we're gonna put some of that black vinyl on there, so when this is all fully installed, you won't see any chrome sticking through. All right, so step one is gonna be surface prep. We already ran the truck through the car wash, and it's dry, and it's been in the garage, so we know that it is at good temperature. We have some isopropyl alcohol here and a microfiber rag. We're gonna go ahead and wipe the whole surface down where we know the tape is going to be sticking. So we're gonna be doing this chrome piece here on the bottom. Make sure the whole thing is clean all the way to the bottom, and then the whole mustache that goes around the front of the grille. All right, so we got that all cleaned and it's dry. Now we're gonna take our first piece here. We're going to stick it onto the bumper just as if we were installing it, but we did not peel any of the backing off for the tape. We're gonna get everything in place, make sure all the edges are tucked in where they should be. And now we wanna be looking for any chrome sticking out. So just take a look at the whole entire piece. If you do see any chrome sticking out with it fully seated onto the factory piece, you're gonna take some of that black vinyl and you're going to lay it there so that the chrome is not noticeable. All right, so we test fitted this and I think everything looks pretty good. There's nothing that is drastically sticking out to make me want to put any of that black vinyl on. So now we're gonna do the same thing with the upper part. We're gonna do a dry fit and see how it is. All right, so over here on the passenger side, we have the grill piece pushed in, and you can still see a slight gap there where we can see the chrome. So I think from like the bottom of the headlight down, I'm gonna put some of that black vinyl right on the very edge of that chrome so that when we get this pushed in place, it's not standing out. So we got our black vinyl here. We're gonna make sure not to put it on the actual body color, just on the chrome itself. Try to get it as close as you can to that edge. So we'll run this down the edge, and then what you can do is take your fingernail or your trim prying tool and you can kind of push it in the gap between this piece and the mustache just to make it look cleaner. All right, so we got that applied down here to the bottom of the mustache. I took my nail and I tucked it in there. Now we're going to take an X-Acto knife or a razor blade and we're going to carefully trim this. And we'll go ahead and tuck the rest of that down in there. All right, so we're also going to be adding some of this black vinyl to the very bottom of this upper mustache piece. Where this piece and this piece meet, you could see a little bit of chrome, so I'm going to throw a piece there on both sides. And then also we test fitted this one, and over here on the very corner you could see a little bit of chrome, so I'm going to throw a short piece there that's only like 1 inch long or so. Okay, so we got all the black vinyl in place where we think we need it. Now I want to note every Tundra is going to be a little bit different. Your grille might fit a little bit different, where your headlights and bumper and everything come together. The fitment might be just a little bit different, so don't copy exactly what we're doing. Make sure you dry fit all your parts and see exactly where yours is showing chrome, if it is, and then put the black vinyl there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and install the lower portion of our mustache, but we need to apply the adhesion promoter first, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so in the process of putting the vinyl on and test fitting everything, if you did get fingerprints all over your stuff, make sure to wipe it down again before we go ahead and apply the adhesion promoter. But if you look at this, there is a dot, and inside here there is a glass vial that holds the liquid. So you're just going to squeeze this, breaking that and opening up the liquid so that it can come out. And we're going to look at the back of our part, and wherever we see tape, we're going to make sure to get this applied. All right, now we'll go ahead and put this on. Make sure you do all of the locations at the same time. Don't do one and then set this down, because this will dry out. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get all of the backing peeled off for our double-sided tape. The very bottom piece here, that's going to be all the way down at the bottom. We're not going to peel that off completely. We're just going to peel a little small section of it so that it's hanging out. Once we get everything else stuck in place, then we can grab that from the outside, peel it out, and get the very bottom stuck in place. All right, we got all the tape peeled off. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this in place. Make sure that this edge is nice and tucked in. We're gonna get it into position first before we put a whole lot of pressure on this stuff. So just make sure it is exactly where you want it. And then we can go back and start putting pressure, applying even pressure across the whole piece, making sure to push where all the tape is. And then for the bottom, we'll grab this, peel that out, and get that stuck in place. All right, so with the passenger side done, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing here on the driver's side, and then we'll get the upper piece done. All right, so we got our lower pieces installed. Now we're gonna take the upper piece again. We don't have any of the tape peeled off. We're gonna go ahead and do another dry fit. And what we wanna do this time is make sure that the gap on this side down here and on this side over here is the same. You can tweak this back and forth a little bit, and you don't wanna have it too far to one side, because then you're gonna have a bigger gap and potentially see some chrome. So we're gonna get it evened up as much as we can. And then we're gonna put a piece of tape across the front, both on the mustache and on the hood. And we're gonna take our marker, make a mark, so then when we go to actually install this permanently, we can line everything back up perfectly. All right, so we got the upper portion back in place. I had Jared behind the camera help me out and hold this so that we could both be looking at either end at the same time and get it evened up. Now I'm holding it in the center so it can't really move. I'm gonna put a piece of tape on the grill itself, or on the mustache piece itself. And I'm gonna put a piece of tape on the hood, just like that. And now I'll take the marker and I'll put a line going through both like that, and we can line that back up. All right, so we got the upper mustache laid out where we want it, and we have it marked. Now we're ready to put on the adhesion promoter. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we got the adhesion promoter all on the upper mustache. Now we're gonna go ahead and start peeling off the backing for our double-sided tape. But what we wanna do is make sure this upper piece that goes around the whole entire perimeter of this, we don't wanna peel that off completely, because if we were to do that, what would happen is as we're trying to install this, this is the first piece that's gonna be making contact with the mustache, and it's probably not gonna allow us to get this fully back as far as we want. So that's the last piece we are gonna remove. We're gonna just pull back a little section and have it hang out the front. So once it's in place, we can grab that and peel it out. All right, so you can see what we have completely peeled off and what we don't here. The upper piece that goes around the whole thing, we're gonna peel maybe back an inch or so, and we're going to fold that over to the front. If you want, you could take a small piece of tape and just tape that onto the front. So that way when you're installing this, you don't have to worry about it getting back underneath and getting caught in there. So we're gonna do that for here. Also this piece right here, we're gonna do the same thing, and then on the other end as well. All right, we got all of our tape peeled back and ready to go on. I'm just gonna note again, if you're in a climate where it's a little cold, this is where the heat gun would definitely help. We could heat up all of this tape, heat up this as well, and then we can install this. Even if you're in a warm temperature, a heat gun is not gonna hurt. So now we're gonna take our upper mustache, we're gonna get our line back up here. And we wanna make sure to push this all back as far as we can before we go and start peeling out the other tape. So we're just gonna push down on this front surface here so that this stays in place. All right, so we have the face all stuck in place. Now what we're gonna do is put pressure pushing back. So if there is a gap here and you can see some chrome, we wanna make sure to close that up. So as we're pushing this in, we're also going to grab our tape and we're going to pull this all back to ensure that we're getting this seated on as far back as possible. Again, with this piece, we'll start pulling this piece out, making sure that this is all pushed in while we're peeling at the same time. Also, while you're peeling this back and pushing in, we want to push down as well. So I got that top piece about halfway across. Now I'm going to focus again on this corner because over here is where we were having the issues with some chrome sticking through. So I want to make sure to get that pushed back in before I come all the way across with this. So again, push this in and pull this tape out down to the end. All right, now we'll start back up here. Peel some of this out. Push it back and down. All right, guys, we got the front mustache all finished up, and the front end of this Tundra looks 10 times better than it did when this was in chrome. So now we're gonna go ahead and start moving our way to the back of the Tundra. We're gonna get those mirror caps covered up now. All right, first thing we're gonna do is get this thing cleaned up, hit it with alcohol, make sure it's dry, and then we can start installing our new mirror caps. All right, right here on the table, we have the mirror caps from Yota Xpedition. Again, on the back side, we got the double-sided tape. We're gonna go ahead and get these installed. We already have our factory mirror cap cleaned and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead, peel this off and get it stuck on. All right, we got all of the double-sided tape peeled off except for this one piece here. This is the piece on the top of the mirror. Just like on top of the mustache, we wanna do this one last so that we can get this thing fully seated in place, and then we'll grab the tab for our backing on the double-sided tape and peel that out. So we have our piece of tape hanging out here. I'm gonna hold that with my thumb, and we're gonna go ahead and get this into position. We're not gonna put any like hard pressure on it yet until we're happy with where it's at, and then we'll go ahead and start pushing. Go ahead and put pressure on the mirror cap, and now we can take the last piece here. We'll get this pulled out. Pull it forward as far as we can and stick it down. All right, we got the driver's side mirror done, and this looks way better than it did before. So we're gonna go ahead now to the passenger side, and we're gonna get that side done as well. And then we'll come back and get these chrome handles done. Next up, we have the door handles here from Yota X. These are all matte black, have the double-sided tape on the backside as well. The only one that is specific is this one, which is gonna be the front driver door. The other three are all the same. So let's go ahead and make sure all of our handles are good and clean, and then we'll get all these installed. The install on these is gonna be very easy. All we're gonna do is just peel the tape off and stick them on. All right, we got all of our tape peeled off. Now we just wanna make sure we get it nice and centered. I usually like to look at the keyhole, make sure you have the same amount of reveal all the way around. We'll just lightly put it in place. And now we're happy with it. Go ahead and stick it down. All right, guys, just like that, we have this door handle looking way better. We're gonna go ahead and do the other three, and then we'll come back and cover up this chrome window trim. All right, up next we have the window trim here in matte black. This is also available in gloss black. This is from Bumper Shellz. We're gonna go ahead and get the chrome covered up on the Tundra and make it look way better than it does. So we have 3 pieces for the driver's side, 3 pieces for the passenger side. So let's go ahead and get all of our window trim nice and clean and get this installed. Just like the other pieces from Bumper Shellz, we have some adhesion promoter. We're gonna apply this first before we get these installed. So we already got this good and clean. So we're gonna get this applied. Make sure to get all the way down in there as far as you can. So starting with our front door here, you're gonna find that one side is closed, one side is opened. The opened end is gonna be going towards the mirror, and then you also wanna match up the angle here so that it matches your OEM one. And we're gonna start on this end here, get that pushed in as far as we can, and then work our way towards the front. All right, we got the front door done. Moving to the back door, we need to do this piece first because the lower piece overlaps right here at the very bottom. So we already have all of our tape peeled off for this. So we'll go ahead and get it into position. Again, make sure it is where you like it, and then push it down. All right, our last piece, we're gonna start at this end, get it tucked in there, and work our way to the back. Push this down. Window molding is done, no more chrome, just another piece looking much better here on the Tundra. Now we're gonna move to the back of it. We're gonna get the 4x4 logo covered up in black and the grab handle for the tailgate and the rear lower bumper pieces. All right, we already got this cleaned. We already got our backing peeled off, and we're gonna go ahead and get this on. Should be pretty easy. Get the camera lined up. Make sure we got no chrome at the top. Everything looks good. Go ahead and push that on. That was easy enough. We'll go ahead and do the same thing here on the 4x4 badge. Get the backing peeled off. We already have it cleaned, ready to go. All right, this brings us to our last piece from Bumper Shellz. This is gonna be covering up the chrome here on the lower section of your rear bumper. So we have both of those in matte black. Again, we have the double-sided tape on the back. We are gonna be doing some dry fitting like we did with the front stuff. We have some black vinyl to cover up if we do see any chrome. We have our adhesion promoter, and then this is where the 10mm, the ratchet, and the trim prying tool come into play. So looking under the rear bumper right here, you're gonna find a 10mm bolt. We're gonna remove that. And then over here, you're gonna see a plastic body clip. We're gonna take the trim prying tool and we're gonna pop that out. All right, so with the bolt and the clip removed, we're gonna pull this piece back just a little bit. So pull it down and pull it out. Just like that. That'll give us a little bit more room here. So right here we have our new piece. As you can see on the bottom, there is a hole for that body clip to go through once we get this installed. We also want to make sure that this top edge gets tucked in underneath this black piece here for your rear bumper. And if you do need to put any black vinyl because you see chrome, more than likely it's going to be here on this edge. So we're going to go ahead and do a dry fit on this. Make sure to get it tucked underneath that black piece, getting it all the way onto there, and then we'll see if we need to add any vinyl. All right, so we did a dry fit here on this piece, and I think it looks really good the way it is. So now we're gonna take it back off. We're gonna get it nice and clean. We're gonna get the adhesion promoter around where the tape is gonna be making contact, and then we'll actually get it fully installed. All right, we got the piece nice and clean. We got our adhesion promoter. We're gonna take this for our guide and get this applied where all the tape is going to be making contact. I also already cleaned the other side. I'm going to put this on right away so that this doesn't dry out in the meantime. All right, adhesion promoter is on. We have our tape, the backing for our tape peeled off. I'm going to start over here, tucking this corner in underneath our upper plastic piece. And I want to make sure that the cover is pushed this way as much as possible so that I don't see any chrome in between here. I'm going to work my way along the top, making sure that's tucked in. If you want, you can take your trim prying tool and help it along the way to kind of lift this up, like so. So we got the top stuck down where we want it. Go ahead and pop the bottom in place. There we go. That looks pretty good. So now I'll go ahead around the whole thing, make sure it's stuck good. All right, I'm happy with that. Pop our plastic piece back in. Make sure it's all the way in. We'll put our 10mm bolt back in there. And then we'll take our body clip, line everything up, and get that back in. That's that. All right guys, with the rear bumper finished up, we are now done blacking out this Tundra, minus this side piece here and the little chrome here on the hood, but this thing definitely looks 10 times better than it did before. Let's go ahead outside and take a look. All right guys, that's a wrap for this one. We got this Tundra looking so much better with all the Blackout products from Bumper Shellz and Yota Xpedition. Let us know down in the comments what you think of how it looks now, and if you guys want to pick up any of this stuff to get the same look on your Tundra, it's all available at yotaxpedition.com. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. All right guys, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. And I'm going to give you some information here on this particular Tundra. It is on stock suspension, and we have some 33 by 12.5s on this. These are the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, and it has some 20-inch fuel wheels here. I'm not 100% sure on the width. I'm thinking a 20 by 9, but if you guys are looking for a similar setup, you can go with this.